Yes, everyone. So welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be doing a review of my race in Stockholm. Okay, so shout out to Niels Kingler. He did a little video like this as well. So I've got Dad behind the camera. He's going to be asking me a couple of questions about how Stockholm went. It was a week ago now, so it's Saturday today. Did the doubles with my mate Joe Vatcher on the Saturday, and then I raced the singles in Stockholm on the Friday. So yeah, got Dad asking a couple of questions and just talking a little bit about the race and also a little bit more about what's going ahead for next season.
So Toby, how did Stockholm go?
Yeah, so it went really well. Got 57.34 in the pro singles on the first day, which was a PB. And to be fair, it was a hot and humid course. A lot of the guys out there didn't actually get a personal best. So it was a PB by only 7 seconds. So I'm happy with that, bear in mind the course conditions and the competition. And that got me 5th in my age group. So over the moon. Tough race. I was in the second wave, so I didn't actually really know how quick the other guys were going in the first wave. I could hear a little bit on the tannoy as I was running around, but there was 2 to 3 other guys in my wave which were pretty quick. So you had the guy called Dylan Crusoe who was pretty fast, and then you had last year's world champion in my wave as well. So I sort of knew what competition I had and how I was doing depending on where I was against them. And on the Saturday, did the pro doubles with Joe, and we got a 52 minute 1 second. So yeah, another great race. That was 4th in our age group. And yeah, really good race, neck and neck the whole way. And we're all the big boys were in the same wave, so it was a really good and exciting race as well. But yeah, really happy. So 5th in the solos, 4th in the doubles. Very close to a podium in both. 18 seconds off 3rd in the solos, and only 20 or 30 seconds off 2nd. And then in the solos, me and Joe were only 7 seconds off 3rd, and I think we're only 20 or 30 seconds again off the winner. So shows how tight it was. I'm obviously happy. Like, if someone gave me those positions in my age group in the world before the weekend, I would have been absolutely over the moon. But when it's that close, it stings a little bit more.
So Toby, what were your goals going into the World Championships?
So I'll start off with the solos. I had some sort of different goals. So sort of like what I wanted to achieve, what was maybe a little bit more ambitious, and then maybe like a dream goal. So what I wanted to achieve was top 10 in my age group. If someone said that at the start of the season, I would have ripped their hand off and been absolutely buzzing with it. But with my times going into the race, I thought top 10 was doable. And it's a sort of goal I had in my head and sort of mapped out with what I wanted to achieve, and luckily managed to achieve that. And then outside that, I had a more ambitious goal of trying to get into that top 5. Shout out to Jude Reynolds and Niels Kingler. They both did their top 5 predictions, and my name wasn't in it on their ones, and to be fair, it shouldn't have been in it looking at my times, but because they were doing their top 5 predictions, I thought, right, I want to try and get into that top 5. So I made that as my sort of main ambitious goal, and then the sort of dream was podium. I knew that would have probably been a little bit of a step too far with some of the quicker guys at the front, but I almost got there, which was pretty cool. But yeah, that was a sort of a dream scenario for me, was that podium. But yeah, sort of top 10 and then top 5 were my main 2 goals, and yeah, luckily managed to achieve that in itself. Going into the race for the solos, my time was in and around that sort of 8th, 9th position compared to the other guys racing. But with my sort of training in the build-up and how I knew I felt in London and Heerenveen, when I knew I had a little bit more left in the tank when I finished, I knew, I could have really pushed for that top 5. So yeah, that was my goal for the solos. And then moving on to the doubles, I think ever since this under 24 age group got announced at the start of the season, me and Joe have always said it might be an ambitious goal once again, but a podium at the World Championships in that under 24 would have been a really good aim. So that was pretty ambitious goal. We definitely wanted sort of that top 5, and our sort of time going into the race was in that top 5 sort of area. But yeah, an ambitious goal of podium. Like I said, only be 7 seconds off is close, but you had some brilliant races. You had Colin Maguire and Ewan Applewhite, which won it and had an amazing race. Obviously, Jude Reynolds and Michael O'Donnell. Like, Jude Reynolds is the age group world champion, and Michael O'Donnell is an incredible athlete himself. And you got Semterberg and Ross Walker, who've got the world record in the age group for the pro double. So yeah, podium was always going to be hard, but yeah, top 5 going into that was something nice to aim for as well, really.
So Toby, talk us through your race.
So it was in that second wave, like mentioned. I knew a lot of the faster guys were in that first wave, so I knew realistically if I wanted to get top 5 or podium, I had to probably win my wave, or if not, come in the top 2. So yeah, I'm not the fastest starter in my races. I start quite slow. I'm really bad on the ski erg, so anyone that's done a HYROX before, I pull like a 1:58 to 2 minute per 500 meters, which, you know, it's still not bad, but compared to these other guys who are competing for podiums at the World Championships, I'm losing around 20 seconds on the ski. So I do start quite slow. So I always knew that was going to be the case, but I knew in this race I was going to have to stay a little bit closer than I usually do, or else I'd probably lose too much time. So yeah, started my usual race, started quite slow, stuck to the pace on the ski, got to the sled push, managed to overtake quite a few people on the sled push. They were heavy sleds anyway because of the humid arena and the stadium. So I think I managed to make up probably 30, 40 spaces on the sleds in total in my age group. But like I said, I'm quite low down anyway, just because of my sort of ski time. Then going into the sled pull, usually one of my stronger stations. And yeah, sled pull would move pretty well. Not as well as it usually did, but like I said, they were heavier sleds, and also I did go out a little bit faster, so I was probably a little bit more fatigued going into the sled pull. And then once the sled's out of the way, that's where I really like to sort of put my foot down and really go faster into the race. So then came into the burpees probably around 5th or 6th in my wave, right next to the old world champion. So we came in at the same sort of time, and yeah, my burpees are quite good. I'm quite long and quite light, so burpees I'm strong. But I think I did a 2:28 on my burpees, I'm pretty sure, using the knee up and jump technique, and that managed to get me up a lot of time and make me up a lot of spaces as well. So yeah, then the burpees, then row, just settled into my usual pace, felt quite good on the row, but then I could sort of see the 3 guys in front of me at that stage, so I knew that 1, they were in reach, but then 2, also I was going to have to put my foot down to sort of speed it up and try and catch up to them, because they're still around 100 to 200 metres ahead of me coming off the row. So yeah, ran off there, started to pick up the pace a little bit on the runs as well. Farmer's Curry went well, went unbroken, but also moved quite fast. So I managed to make up 2 spots on the Farmers. So at this point I was second in my wave. Which yeah, that's sort of where I knew I wanted to be, but 2 also had to be to do well in the race. And then yeah, got into the lunges, pretty much bang on with the person who was 3rd in the wave, so we were sort of neck and neck to start with. Started lunging through there, and then I could see Dylan out in front, who was leading the wave, and he's ran a 55-minute pro before, so he's a quick guy. I could see him, and I just absolutely went for it. I was lunging, no step in between. I think got a 2:26 on the lunges, which was 2nd fastest out of any age group in the World Championship, and I think it was faster than all the Elite 15 guys for their lunchtime. Looking back on it, it was probably a little bit too fast because my legs were absolutely cooked after. But yeah, they managed to come out the lunges ahead of Dylan. And managed to sort of be leading my wave. So I knew at that point, listening to the tannoy and hearing things, I knew that I'd probably be on for a podium at that stage. So running around, run 8, still ahead. By lap 1, lap 2, still ahead. And then on lap 3rd, Dylan Caruso overtook me and went into the wall balls ahead of me. And then yeah, my wall balls weren't the best, probably broke around 3-4 times, and you know, stopped early after 17, which isn't usually the case. But race wise, I was super happy with it. Like I said, it's how I like to pace a race. I like to sort of build into it. Like I said, I didn't really see the guys at the top until I got to the rower, and then from there sort of kept on going and kept on chipping away at it.
So Toby, what pleased you most about the race, and what did you learn?
So what pleased me the most was probably my running. In Herveen in London, I got two pretty good times, a 58 and a 57. And to be fair, in all my races in the past, it's always the running that lets me down. I think a lot of people think I come from a sort of running background, or my running's my strong point, but it's actually in these races, it's the stations which I make up the most amount of time. And my running, compared to people in and around the same sort of positions as me, and even lower, is where I'm losing out on my time. But in Stockholm, this changed. My running was really good. Big focus on my sort of threshold running in the build-up, but also being conscious and mindful to actually make sure I'm running faster in the races. So it's a little bit more aggressive on my runs, and my runs were relevant to where my rank was, which isn't usually the case. So yeah, really happy with my running, and especially in the doubles as well, my running felt really good. So it's nice to have the running up where it should be, and then if I can bring the stations up to where they were as well, then I'm hopefully going to be on for an even better time. And then lesson wise, I need to get better at the start of the race. Like I've already mentioned, my ski is around 20 seconds slower than the guys who are getting similar times to me, which is a lot of time to lose. So definitely need to work on my ski, a little bit on my row, and then also need to sort of work on my wall balls a little bit as well. I know I did 100 unbroken in London, but like I said, now I'm trying to run a little bit faster. I need to make sure that I can still hit the 100 unbroken when I'm a little bit more fatigued at the end of the race. So wall balls and ski are probably the two I need to work on. And then, yeah, really happy with how the running went at the weekend.
How was your training in the build-up?
Training was brilliant. So I'm coached by Chris Baines. A lot of you probably see him on Instagram at the moment. He's a pretty big deal and pretty big in the HYROX scene. But yeah, what an amazing coach. So he took full reins of my training in the build-up and has done for the last sort of 4 or 5 months, and I've just sort of skyrocketed from there. So training wise went brilliant. Sort of sacrificed a lot in the build up, missed out on some big trips and obviously a lot of social occasions with friends and everything, but all paid off in the end. So I was super happy. It was around high volume training, 3-4 hours a day, racking up around 20 to 24 hours of training per week. Threshold and running paces were getting quicker and quicker each week, which was brilliant to see. Load of zone 2 work, recovery was good in the build up, and just a nice uninterrupted block. And then I sort of really locked in and went all in on my training and felt great for it on the race. But yeah, huge shout out to Chris, because his programming and communication and just overseeing everything is second to none. So he's been a big part of that.
So what's your plans for next season?
So I think plan now is next race is in 4 months' time. So 4 months of a big build. I don't like the word off season, because if a tennis player wanted to get better at tennis, they would carry on playing tennis. They wouldn't go and play racquetball or squash or pickleball or something like that. They would just keep on playing more tennis. And need to double check with Chris, my coach, but I feel like we're going to have a sort of similar philosophy for this off season, is carry on training for HYROX, as that's what my main goal is. That's my sport, and that's what I want to get better at. So 4 months of really dialing in, really getting better at my training, and I sort of did that midway through last season. I felt that helped a lot. So I think another 4 months of training is going to help a lot. And then first pro race is Geneva, men's pro solos, and then I'm just going to be racing loads from October till end of December. I think I'm going to be doing a race every 2 weeks. So yeah, definitely need more race experience. I only raced 5-6 times last year, so definitely need to race more, and I learnt more each race. So race more, but a big block first, and then just stacking loads of races from there.
So what piece of advice would you give someone looking to qualify for their very first World Championship?
I think you've got to go all in. HYROX is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to be harder and harder and harder to qualify. The standards going up. There's less spots as well to qualify, and just because you're fit, or just because you can run a decent 5k and got a decent back squat, doesn't mean you're just going to qualify for the World Championships like that. If you want to qualify, you've got to go all in on HYROX. You've got to put in the hours, and you've got to be realistic. You might not qualify for this year's World Championships. You might qualify for next year's. For example, myself, I only qualified by the skin of my teeth this year. Which I was quite lucky to qualify down, because it was a roll down. I did end up qualifying later in the season, but it's a lot harder than people think. If you do want to qualify, you don't just do random HYROX classes. Don't just sort of string together a random program or do what you like. You've got to go all in. You've got to commit to the process, and you've got to sort of map out your season to make sure that you can qualify. Because yeah, like I said, the standards are getting higher, the spaces are getting smaller, and yeah, you just got to go all in if you want to qualify for next year's. So there's my wrap up of my Stockholm World Championship race last week. Just before I go, I want to do a huge shout out to a couple of people. So huge shout out to Joe Thatcher, my doubles partner. Always amazing to race with him. We have great fun. And to get 4th in our age group in the world is amazing. And we have some great sessions every Saturday morning. We get up early doors, push each other, and that's not only helped our doubles performance, but also helped our solos performance as well. It's always great fun racing with him. So huge shout out to him. Huge shout out to my coach, Chris, who I know I've mentioned a couple of times, but since starting with him in December, my progress has just gone up and up and up, and I cannot wait to see how much further I can go with him, because yeah, he's a great coach, great communicator, and sort of I think he's changing the game in HYROX. And then obviously that's a huge shout out to Dad behind the camera and Mum who's at home as well, because yeah, they follow me all around the world. They I've watched so many races this season, spent loads of money, put up with me when I'm training and feeding me and my washing, and they've just been absolutely brilliant. So huge shout out to them. And yeah, time to get ready for next season and hopefully see my name around more in the HYROX scene. But yeah, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and whatever you're supposed to do on YouTube, and I'll speak to you soon.